All right, let's jump right in. We're diving into what is essentially a cosmic courtroom drama. It's this incredible story about what happens when the very rules of the afterlife are put on trial by the souls they've already condemned. It's a philosophical battleground, Justice, fairness, what paradise even means. It's all up for debate.
I mean, think about that question for a second. What if the damned sued for justice? It's a wild thought, right? But that is the exact premise of our story today. Imagine a reality where souls who've been sentenced to hell find what they think is a massive loophole in the heavenly system, and they actually decide to take their case to a committee. This is where it all kicks off.
So our story is set in a place called Ghost World. The source material paints this picture of an abandoned arena kind of built from shadows and neon, and it is just buzzing with resentment. You can almost feel the ache of souls who feel cheated. This is the stage for the recent Equity Committee meeting, and you can just cut the tension with a knife.
Now, let's meet the main characters in this drama. First up, you have Serpent. He's a legendary tempter, described as serpentine elegant, and he's acting as the lawyer for the rebels. The one leading the charge for the damned? That's rebel leader Diesel, totally defiant and just burning with these old grudges. And then, standing against all of them, is Evan, a lone soul, whose energy is described as a small, calm star in a storm.
Serpent absolutely does not waste any time. He opens the meeting with this bombshell. He's not asking for permission, you see. He's claiming the authority to just rewrite the rules of heaven. It is such an audacious power grab, and it really sets the whole conflict in motion.
And bam, immediately Evan fires back. His objection just frames the entire debate perfectly. Is the afterlife governed by some kind of unchangeable cosmic law, or can it be altered by a committee vote, especially a committee filled with vengeful souls? It's basically established order versus mob rule.
And this brings us right to the core of the rebels' argument. Now, they frame their whole case as a fight for social justice, but you have to ask, are they really seeking fairness, or are they just trying to exploit a loophole for their own gain? Okay, so the rebels' entire case hinges on this one single discovery. Billions of unborn, untested souls were apparently granted automatic entry into heaven. Diesel's argument is so deceptively simple, and you can see why it's so powerful. He's pointing out a massive inconsistency and demanding equal treatment. It's a classic case of cosmic whataboutism. And, what starts as a call for equal treatment, well, it escalates fast. The rebels don't just want in anymore. They want a carefree eternity, no jobs. They want to take dominion over heaven. They want to replace hard-earned wisdom with magical, wishful imagination. Suddenly, their call for inclusion starts to sound a whole lot more like a demand for a complete takeover.
So, in direct opposition to all of this, you have Evan's case. He's not arguing for some unfair system. No, he's defending a universe that's built on principles of personal growth, of spiritual discipline, and, well, the consequences of your own actions.
Evan's perspective just completely reframes the entire problem. He argues that the rebels aren't trapped by an unjust system, they're trapped by themselves. Their own anger, their own resentments, their attachments, those are the chains holding them down. In his view, freedom isn't something that's granted by a committee, it's something you achieve by letting go. And this just lays out the two clashing worldviews perfectly. You've got the rebels who want the easy way, wishful thinking over actual wisdom, blind belief over verified faith, laziness instead of persistence, and embracing distractions over focus. And then you have Evan, arguing for the harder path, the one that actually requires inner work and mastery of the self. These are two fundamentally different ideas of what paradise even is.
So this is the system Evan is defending. He calls it cosmic law. And the idea is that your afterlife isn't decided by some arbitrary set of rules, but by what you've actually become, the qualities you've mastered through your choices and your actions. It's a system of earned rewards, not automatic handouts.
All right, this is where it gets really dramatic. The debate is over. It's time for a decision. But as that subtitle suggests, a victory here might not be what the rebels think it is.
The conclusion isn't reached through some fair debate, it's completely engineered. Serpent gets everyone to agree that their own personal truth is what matters most. Then, when Evan tries to object to the final vote, he's physically silenced. Shadowy hands literally bind and gag him, removing the only dissenting voice so they can create this illusion of a unanimous decision.
With Evan silenced, the committee just chants their demand. The irony here is staggering. They're shouting for equality while forcibly suppressing the one person who disagrees with them. It's such a powerful illustration of how the language of liberation can be used to justify tyranny.
So on the surface, it looks like a total victory, right? They silenced the opposition, they voted themselves into paradise. They won, didn't they? And here is the twist. The Creator grants their request, but with this masterful, ironic precision. They wanted a carefree afterlife, basking on a heavenly beach? Fine. They will become the beach. Every single soul is transformed into a single perfect grain of sand. And this reveals the true cost of their victory. They got exactly what they demanded. Perfect equality. No responsibilities, no struggle. But in the process, they were stripped of everything that made them individuals. They lost their free will, their identity, their voice. They became perfectly equal and perfectly nothing.
And this leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. The story is a cosmic parable for sure, but its theme is deeply human. It asks us to consider the very nature of justice and equality. At what point does the push for a perfect, conflict-free existence come at the cost of the freedom and individuality that makes life worth living? A paradise of forced perfection? Well, it might not be paradise at all.